Hi, this is Blake, and I'm going to explain how I use Replace Geometry when I'm fixing existing mapping. Oftentimes you get the comment that, oh, it's just easier for me to remap something than it is for me to try and fix existing mapping. And Replace Geometry sort of gives you the benefit of both of those things. You get to map it from scratch, and you retain the history. So this was an invalidated task square, and the comment was, oftentimes multiple buildings were mapped as one building. And so you can see that's kind of looks like the case here. This just looks like bad mapping. This doesn't look like a building. So we're going to fix this, but I'm going to use the Replace Geometry option, which is under More Tools. And when I have the right things selected, Replace Geometry will be available. So what I typically do is I'm just going to zoom in and remap this. This looks like anyhow. What I generally do is I just grab this and I drag it out of the way, so that it's not in my way anymore. And then I remap whatever it is that needs to get remapped. So in looking at this, I'm just going to remap this. I'm going to use the building tool, so I hit B, and then I'm just going to map this however I normally would. That looks like a building. This looks like a building. This looks like a building. Another building. It's hard to tell. I mean, this definitely looks like a building. And then I'm going to assume that this is a building too. Can't really tell exactly where it goes, but that's pretty close. So I just remapped this whole thing. And I have the previous square that I had. This used to be mapped here. So I moved it out of the way. I remapped it. And now I got back my selection tool. I hit the S key to get back my selection tool. And so now I just click on this, and then I'm going to shift click on this one, and that gets them both selected. And now Replace Geometry is available. And that essentially merges the two objects, except it keeps the history of the original object. So when you look at the history of this, I could have picked any of these buildings to merge, but the original building that somebody mapped is now preserved. It just turned into history on this one. So I'm just going to do it again real quick here. And so I'm going to move this out of, which is similar to just deleting it, but I just drag it out of the way. And then this looks like a building, and then these look like buildings. I hit the escape key to make sure I don't have it still selected, otherwise the B key behaves funny. But I'm just going to map this building, and I'm going to map this building. Yeah, this just looks like an empty lot mainly, and then this looks like a building to me too. So I'm just going to map that building. So I get back my selection key, my selection tool. I select the building that I moved out of the way, and I select a new building that I just mapped by holding down the Shift key. And then I do Control or Shift, Control, G, and that's Replace Geometry. And that's the same come up here and chosen. You can see Control Shift G. That's the same as if I had chosen that. And you can see, you basically get to remap it from scratch, and you get the benefit of retaining the history. I'll just go ahead and do this one real quick, drag it out of the way. Map it as you normally would. This looks like a building here too. And that looks like a building to me. Selection tool, shift click to select them both, and then Control Shift G, or just select it from the menu. And you can see it merges them, but it keeps the history. And that's how you can remap these things. Like I said, it takes no more time than if I had just deleted it. It takes a fraction of a second more, really. Not a fraction of a second, but it takes almost nothing more to just move it out of the way, go ahead and remap whatever it is that was mapped. This one's sort of hard to tell. I'll give you that. So this is, I just dragged it out of the way. I could have deleted it, but it was just as simple to drag it out of the way. You do a quick Shift Select, Control Shift G, done. So this is how you preserve the history while using Replace Geometry, and then everybody is happier. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.